Thanks for joining me today, Roberta.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, amazing. We're in Dubai.
Yes, we are. In the sun.
In the sun. Sunday morning. Yes. I've dragged you out after your event last night as well.
No, it's all good.
Thank you. Yeah. So tell me, how long have you been in Dubai and what are you doing here?
I've been in Dubai for 2.5 years. So now I am working in the event scene and in electronic music. It was a journey to get here. I kind of moved on a gut instinct. 2.5 years ago. I've worked in the music industry my whole life and was in London for 11 years. And it was so weird. People are like, why did you move to Dubai? And I don't really know how to explain it, but something in my gut was just like, go to Dubai, learn about the Middle East, learn about the music industry there. Like, really, I can't explain it. And I did, and yeah, it's been amazing.
Wow. So you were in the music industry in London.
Yeah.
And then you've come over here and just started literally from ground zero yourself.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so what do you do out here?
So actually, I'm just about to start a new role at Beatport. So I'm going to be the business development director for MENA, which I'm super excited about. So I've consulted for Beatport on and off for 5 years. The team there are amazing, and I'm just kind of, really passionate about the company. I'm really passionate about electronic music. I'm really excited. So from next week, I'll be doing that.
That's awesome. And you have your own business as well?
Yeah, so I have a women in music platform called Little Pink Book, which is all about bringing women together. Like, some of my best friends are women that I've met through music. And I just think it's really important to empower each other, to network, to like build a community. It's something that's always been really important to me. When I first started working in the music industry, I would go to a lot of conferences and there'd be panels, and they were quite negative. Like, there were a lot of like dwelling on the gender pay gap, which is an issue and it needs to be addressed 100%, and like different things. But also, being a woman in the music industry is also amazing. And what I didn't want is I think it's very important that young women are aware of issues, but then I also don't want young women to be put off or being like, do you know what, I'll work in music, but I'll never be CEO. I'll never earn as much as the man next to me. Like, that's counterproductive. So what I wanted to do with Little Pink Book was shine a light on role models in the industry, female role models, and also all the great things, so that young women come in the industry feeling empowered, feeling inspired. And for me, that's how we will get to equality and solve those issues.
So what does that look like practically? How does is it events or?
Yeah. A bit of everything. So events, so I do panel talks, and what I always try and do is showcase females who are in quite male-dominated roles. So, for example, a tour manager or a sound engineer. But then we'll also have like managers, A&R. But it will be an all-female panel and talking about the journey of an artist or their experience. So panels are a big thing for me, because I think it's then women can learn from each other and then network afterwards. I recently just partnered with Alpha Theta, who own Pioneer DJ, and we launched the first ever Start From Scratch in the Middle East, which is free DJ lessons for women.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah.
So we had 2 days. We had over 50 women come through, all learning how to DJ. For me, Little Pink Book is all about providing women with information, resource, education, inspiration, in any way I can.
That's so good. And so you DJ as well?
I do, but like very much a hobby.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you like wanting to grow up?
I love it. Like, I do really love it. And it's also like, you just kind of just get to play your favorite tunes. But that's more, I would say, in kind of everything I'm working on, that's like my bottom priority. That is like my hobby. But if I do Little Pink Book events, I will always like open and DJ, but more just for like the fun and the love of it than anything else.
So where do you see yourself personally going?
Career-wise or DJ-wise?
Career-wise, yeah.
I would just really love to be known for, I think, being a real advocate for the region. Like, since I've moved here and lived here, I just feel so at home here. I've met so many incredible friends from all over the Middle East, kind of like Lebanese, Palestinian, Egyptian. And I'm just like inspired by all the people that I meet. I think working in the music industry in London, like being completely honest, I was in a bubble where you think the music industry is UK and US artists. And then moving here, it's really, really opened my eyes to like the incredible talent, the culture. And yeah, I just really love it. So I think I would really love to be kind of, I guess, educating the UK and the world that I was working in before on, you know, that is a bubble. There's so much more to the music industry in the whole wide world. So yeah, I would really love to kind of, be known for shining a spotlight on the region in any way that I can. And also for the women in music, for building communities and inspiring women to feel empowered in the music industry and to get into the music industry.
Yeah, I agree with you on since taking my business out here in February, the biggest thing I saw was that cultural diversity and being able to actually relate differently. We are in such a bubble in the UK and you don't realise it until you get out of it, and then you come here and I mean I love the Lebanese. I think there's so much in our industry that's been impacted by the Lebanese work culture, way of thinking.
Like all the incredible dance music venues here, like Soho Garden, Surf, Vinyl, like they're all Lebanese owned, and there's such a like passion and culture, and such a passion like within that culture for the music industry, and I feel like I learn every day here, which I love.
Yeah. So what has it been like so how many years have you been in the music industry?
My whole life really. So I when I was at uni, I was on the radio, like on Leeds student radio, and was promoting events. Then as soon as I finished uni, I did a season in Ibiza. And ironically, my dad was like not happy. He was like, come back, get a job. And I was working in Ibiza. I was like, I have a job in Ibiza. And he was just like, come home. He was like really not happy. And ironically, like I'm now working still in electronic music, I don't know, 12 years, 14 years on. No, 15 years on. Yeah, it was 2010 I was doing the season. So 15 years on. So it really set me up, for life.
And did you study anything in electronic music?
I studied communications, so kind of like media. And I remember doing a module on the music industry. So it all kind of ties in. So yeah, I think 14 years now I've been in the music industry.
Wow. It's so funny hearing your journey because I was really similar. I started working as a shop girl in bars when I was in uni. Yeah. My mum was like, please go and get a proper job. And I was like, no, I want to set a business. So in my last year of uni, I set up the company that's still today.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah. So 15 years on, I'm still exactly like you here doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those industries, isn't it, that people kind of look on from the outside if you're not in it and see it a certain way or have a certain perception, like, come on, get a proper job, or what are you doing still doing that? Have you often had that kind of...
Yeah, no, I mean, my dad is like really chill. I think I was obviously partying and he just saw that side of it. And I think, didn't see me making a career of it. I mean, neither did I, to be honest. And then it did I was very lucky to be able to follow my passion kind of in my career. But I never really expected to. I feel very lucky that I have.
So what drew you to the industry and made you stay in it for this long?
So I've just always loved music, like always. Like I was, like recording the charts on your like tape recorder in the bedroom, like making CDs. I was just always obsessed. And then did the season in Ibiza and I would like, I could tell you all about like any DJ. I was just like, I just was obsessed. I don't really know why. And then when I first moved to London, I went into advertising. And I really only cared if there was an element of music to a brief. Like if it was digital advertising I was in, if I could work with MTV or Spotify in the campaign, then I was so excited. And then if it wasn't, even if it was a cool brief, I just wasn't interested. So then I was like, okay, I need to do something that's 100% music. So I did a social media strategy course because I feel this makes me sound old. But when I first started digital advertising, we were doing like homepage takeovers on Yahoo and AOL. And then everyone started moving their spend to social. And I was like, oh, maybe social media might be a thing for the future. So I did a social media strategy course. And then just kind of out the blue, saw a job advertised to do Cole Cox at Space Social Media. And I was like, perfect. So I applied and I got it. And then I guess that was my first kind of foothold into the industry. And then it just grew from there.
Kept growing.
Yeah.
So I was on my way here on the plane, I was reading this article that was in The Guardian about women in dance music and how there are now more female artists that are like tracking the charts. And there was some stats in there about how low the percentage was before. Yeah. Is that something like, how have you seen in your time in the industry women like positioned and tracking?
Yeah, do you know what? Things are definitely improving, which is amazing. And we're on a really good trajectory, and females are getting kind of more recognised. There are more female producers. There are more females getting slots in gigs and in festivals and in clubs, but there is also still like such a long way to go. I think, I can't remember what the like exact stats is, but it's like under 20% of like female producers in electronic music. So there's still such a long way to go, but the trajectory's there. And I think what it is that kind of the premise of Little Pink Book, really, there are more role models now. There are more female producers, DJs, women in the industry that young women can look up to. And so I do think it's going to keep growing, and we will get there with equality and kind of, having more women in the industry. And it's definitely improving, but then I still see all male lineups and I'm like, no. Why?
Yeah. And I suppose it's a transition, and it's still got to be quality. Like, as in, if the male track is better than the women's, then you should be bringing the male track on. We can't just do it for the sake of rebalance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know any female DJ producer that would want to be the token woman in the lineup. Everybody wants to be there on their credit, as they absolutely should be. But it's such a kind of, like a fine line, because it is a difficult conversation, because you don't want to be like, oh, we need to put a woman on this lineup, so there's a woman on it. So, but that never needs to be the case, because there are so many amazing female DJs, female producers. So it's an education process. There's never, for me, I feel like there's never a situation where you're like, oh, probably should put a female on this, even though they're not very good, because there are so many incredible females. So it's getting out the habit, it's acknowledging, but diversity across everything, gender, race, not just like females, just acknowledging, I think if anyone's putting on a festival or putting on a club night, I do think there's a responsibility there to be diverse and to be representative of, the people that are going to come to your club.
So as a woman in this industry, what do you think we could be doing or should be doing to actually get ourselves in the room?
I think networking is so important, like your contact base, and like building like real relationships as well. Not just kind of being out there being like, what can you do for me? Just building relationships and getting to know people in the industry and working out what you can offer as well. I think being very kind of sure of yourself with your offering and your skills and confident within that. I think that's really important. And just building, for me, my contacts and my network have been everything, really. And that's definitely what's got me to today.
Yeah, and it happens organically, doesn't it, a lot of the time as well? Like, when you make that part of the way that you live and you choose to build business or you choose to put yourself out there, it's less of a force. It kind of just naturally happens, I find.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I think I guess almost a blessing and a curse of the music industry is that it's work and passion. It's like your work and your social together, but just be yourself, like be as authentic as you can be genuine, build up genuine connections with people, listen to what they have to say, I don't know, learn from the people around you and grow and be sure of yourself as well. I think that's really important.
I think there's been a lot in like the UK and London around women's safety in the nightlife industry as well, and there's been a big focus in the industry on talking about that and making that a conversation of high importance. Have there been any circumstances that have happened in the industry for you where you're like, that was not cool?
I've been really fortunate in the industry, to be honest. I think I've always been in situations surrounded by people, and in a work environment, I actually haven't ever felt like unsafe, which I know is a real privilege, because there's a lot of women who have. There's been situations where I felt kind of uncomfortable, where I have felt that women aren't being kind of I don't know, respect in the right way in a room, or there's been conversations that have made me feel uncomfortable. But I'm very lucky that I've never actually felt unsafe. But I'm even saying that I'm extremely aware of the issues and how important it is. And yeah, like there are like a lot of places now putting in precautions for that. So that I know Strawberries and Cream Festival actually have a WhatsApp. So where if you're on site and you feel at the festival and you feel unsafe in any way, there's a number you can WhatsApp and someone will be there straight away. So there are people, and that's a male-founded festival, and they recognise the importance of women's safety. So there are people who are recognising it and putting precautions into place, which I think is amazing.
And would you say that our industry is actually unsafer than others?
Oh, I mean, it's so hard to know because I don't know other industries. But I mean, with that, you know, there's alcohol involved, there's late nights involved. So, you know, with that, yeah, safety issues do come up. But so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a fine line as well, isn't it? It's like you listen to some people in corporates and some of the things that they have to go through and the things that are said there, and you're like, okay, that's just as interesting as some of the things that might happen and pop up in nightlife.
Yeah, for sure.
It's good to hear that there's like structures to support women as well. I know like in the UK we work with, so for like my staffing agency, we work with an organisation called Good Night Out, and their goal is to end sexualisation in the festival and nightlife industry. So when we send people out into the workplace to go and work, we're equipping them as individuals to like be able to actually communicate, express their boundaries, know what to do, as well as look at the venue and the structure to say, well, what are you doing structurally to support the people that we're then sending out? Because it's twofold, isn't it?
It is, yeah, absolutely.
Education and structural change as well.
For sure, yeah, absolutely.
And so in the music industry as a woman, what are some of, I know we were talking about this before off screen, but what are some of the kind of maybe downsides or struggles or things that you're considering now for your own life?
I mean, I think it's not really even just the music industry alone, but I think being a woman and having children, right? Because you work so hard for your career. Like I'm 15 years in as a you, and I think I'm probably at the peak. I feel like everything I've worked for is happening now, and I'm 35. So if I was to have a child now, I'm just out for a year. And also being in electronic music, a lot of my events are in nightclubs, late nights. And we were talking about this before, in Dubai you can smoke in the clubs. So it's not even just like maternity leave, like what am I going to do if you're 6 months pregnant in the DJ booth while everyone's smoking? And I think that is something that isn't spoke about enough. And it's like, yeah, I think it's a real complex issue for a lot of women, because you work your whole life and then you just have to take, and it's also taking a year out, but it's not, is it? Because you have the maternity leave and then you have, you know, the child's still there. So for me, that's something that I'm thinking about, because we talked about before, but I came out a long-term relationship this year at 35, and that's what's kind of, I think, made me think about it. But I think even if I was with someone, I wouldn't be ready for children at all. So, but also I'm not getting any younger, and I think it's such a complex issue for women in all industries. If something, your career is important to you, it's really tough, and I think it's something that's not spoken about enough.
Yeah, I think in the music industry, in our industry, when you are people facing or event facing, which is a lot of my function in the company at the moment, we're like growing in loads of different markets. So I looked at my travel of last year and the travel for this year, and I'm like, huh? Yeah. Like, let's say I did want to. Yeah. Practically, how? Like, how would you travel? Like, it would be impossible. Like, I'm tired enough as it is.
Yeah, well, no, that's the other thing as well. I'm shattered most of the time anyway.
Exactly. And then you've got, like, the late nights, or, like, a lot of stuff can be really unpredictable if you're dealing in our industry.
And then I have some amazing friends in fashion and music who do have young children. And I think they don't really have the space to talk about it kind of, like, properly. Like, they're now still trying to kind of have their careers, commute into London, grow their child. And I can't remember who it was that said to me, but it's like, you just have to be 50% at everything. Yeah. Like, you can't be 100% an amazing mother and 100% amazing at your career at the same time. So I can't remember, it's one of my friends, but it was just like, I just have to be kind of mediocre at everything. I can't be great at anything because then the other thing goes downhill. And I was like, yeah, and I do think a lot of women feel like that.
So, like, what do you think are the questions we need to ask ourselves? I know. Look, I'm thinking, like, how bad do I want it? Like, how bad do I want that to be a mother?
I know.
How important is that?
I know. And I mean, how can workplaces be more supportive and acknowledge and be flexible without it having a negative impact? And how can the men be more supportive? You know, and I know some relationships where the men are absolutely incredible, but there is that old-fashioned view where it's the woman's job, and it's not anymore. Mm-hmm. It should be totally equal, but it's, you know, life is life, so women will have more flexibility with work. But I know a lot of companies now are doing like paternity, and like the world is adapting, and it's just one of those things. It's just going to take time.
Yeah, and I think like different from me to you is the entrepreneurial side. Yeah. Like what function do I play for the business right now, and how core is that, and what if? Because it's like there's no maternity or paternity for an entrepreneur. It's how strong is your team, how well structured is your business, and you only really know it when it's there. Like we mentioned off screen, but my sister passed away a few years ago, but it was a great experience in the business side of things to learn actually when I couldn't be functional as I was before, actually my team were phenomenal. And that was the credit of how many years of having built a strong foundation. So I can see that it is possible, but it's scary. And also it's the unknown, isn't it? It's like the other side of that it won't be the same business, or you won't be the same person. You might not even have the same drivers. I mean, who is a really good female role model in the music industry that's like you would look up to from the mothering? Like who's a mother and kicking ass?
I mean, one of my best friends called Sophie, she is an artist manager. She's managed Corrupt FM, FK Twigs, Danny Howard, Crystal Clear, artist manager in the electronic music industry. I've always been inspired by her anyways. I just think she's incredible at what she does. And she's got a young boy now and does manage to like juggle everything and make it seem easy when I know it's definitely not. So she's a massive inspiration to me. And one of my other best friends, Helen, is incredible fashion designer in the fashion industry. She's got 2 young children and is going back to work for the second time in the next couple of months, and has moved out of London, so is now going to be commuting, managing the kids. And I just think, wow, what an inspiration.
Yeah. So there are people out there who are kicking butt. They just need to get on the podcast and talk about it.
But then you talk to them and you're like, oh, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But like, it's so hard.
Yeah.
So hard.
And there's time. Like we said, we're both 35.
Yeah.
There's still time to...
Well, you don't know, do you? There could be like, I have a lot of friends having children at 38, 39. But I mean, you just don't know.
Yeah.
And you just have to trust. I'm a big believer in just trusting the universe. Things will happen when they're meant to happen. And I just have to go with that.
Let go with that.
Yeah.
So now that you've come out of this long-term relation as well, you're back on the dating scene.
Yeah.
On the dating scene in Dubai.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's go there. What's
Okay.
that like?
It's tough. I don't really know how to meet people. You say the dating scene, I've been on very minimal dates. I don't know how to do it. Like Hinge, I think is quite terrible.
Yeah.
And then when I'm out, I'm like with my girls, or I'm working.
Yeah.
So I'm in that like work. I'll be like at the club, but I'll be with people from work, or I'll be with someone a client or a venue that I work with. So there's that kind of element of boundaries.
Yeah.
So I just don't know how you're meant to meet people, if I'm being totally honest.
And so what is it like? Because I've heard some horror stories that are about like...
Yeah. I mean, I haven't got any horror stories because I've been on
like
one
date.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm just same as like before. I'm just trusting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be more... My New Year's resolution to kind of be more open-minded. Because if I'm out with my girls, I couldn't tell you one other person that's in that venue. I'm just like with my girls. But then maybe I need to be a little, quick look around, quick laugh.
Little smile over there.
So, yeah, but I don't know. it's only been 6 months I've been single, and I've never lived on my own before, and I'm living on my own now and I love it. So I'm just kind of enjoying the peace and being on my own. And you learn a lot, and my career's been like a massive focus for me. But yeah, this year, I don't know, hopefully some dates, inshallah. We'll see.
And is it quite like fast moving here? Like there's turn on of people, or would you say there's quite a lot of community?
Do you know what? The first year I felt a bit like that it was a kind of transient, and then I've really found my kind of core group. And like we all do travel quite a lot. I think a lot of people that live here do travel quite a lot, and then summer people are kind of in and out. But I've actually feel like a real sense of community here. Like I feel like my girls here are like my family, and we'll all do anything for each other because we live on the other side of the world almost, to our family, to our kind of school friends, our like childhood friends. So I actually feel a huge sense of community here actually, because it's like, well, we've all moved over here. Everyone is very driven. You kind of move over here really for kind of the lifestyle, the opportunity. And I actually feel almost more of a sense of community here than London, because I guess from that expat mindset, you are each other's family here. And I really love it here. And I think kind of the people that I meet here are all quite like-minded and so supportive. I think people come here for like the opportunity, but for me personally, I find it less competitive than other places. If you're like on the up, like I feel like people
Everyone's
just take you
going
with
that
them.
way,
They're like,
yeah.
come on, like let's work together, let's do this, let's do that. And I love that. Like I'm massive on collaboration and community. That's what Little Pink Book's all about. And yeah, and I actually really feel that here a lot.
Yeah, no, I would agree actually. I think from when we started building the company here in February, it was just, everyone was very open. It took me back at the beginning, 'cause coming from London, kind of like, there's a little bit like, what are they after? Or are they trying to take that from me? So at first I had that little bit of mentality myself, and I'd watch myself kind of go, have your guard up there. So why am I doing that? Like, actually their intentions are to support here. And it was a really new experience.
Like I last year launched the International Music Summit here. I saw that, and that's what everyone said. Everyone was like, wow, everyone's so collaborative. Everyone's so open, everyone's so excited, everyone's so passionate. And I was like, and everyone like really felt that during the few days of the summit. And I think that's huge here.
And you had a great lineup at IMS, didn't you? I saw that. So what was your role in that?
Well, I was curation lead and kind of project lead. So I was the only person on the ground here. So everything from finding the venue, the ticketing platform, permits, and then curation. I was really lucky because Ben and Katie, who like run IMS, and then Ed, who runs Beatport, I've worked with for years, and they put a lot of trust in me. So I was really lucky in that respect, and it all came together, and it was amazing.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. So is there going to be one next year as well? Was this the first year?
Yeah.
Well, because we're in 2025 now.
Yeah. No, it was the first one, and honestly, the response was just like more than we could have ever imagined, really.
Yeah.
So from next week, gearing up to the next one, bigger and better.
So you've got your fingers in lots of pies then.
Well, IMS is now owned by Beatport, so it kind of works really well for me, because I'd project managed IMS Ibiza in 2022, consulted for Beatport for like 5 years, and then in 2023, Beatport bought IMS. But I had already worked with them and knew the team, so it made sense then to kind of launch IMS Dubai, and then now my role will be across like growing the Beatport group here, but IMS as well. So it's a dream role, really.
And so for listeners who don't know what IMS is, what is like the intention of IMS and what does it exist to do?
So IMS is the International Music Summit. It was co-founded by Pete Hong and Ben Turner, I think about 14 years ago, launched in Ibiza. It's been growing year on year in Ibiza, and it's just all about bringing thought leaders of the electronic music industry, people who have just entered the music industry, DJs, producers, bring everyone together for 3 days of talks, panels, showcases, and a celebration really is of the industry and to learn from each other. And I always think the curation at IMS is always really relevant, forward thinking. And it's just a really great opportunity to meet other people from the industry, and to learn and to know about what's happening in the industry and what's coming next, which I always think is important.
And what were some of the key topics or themes that were in this year's?
Well, I did a little Pink Book, MENA Women in Music panel, which was incredible. And it was, we had Salia, who's an incredible British Lebanese DJ. And we had women from Saudi, Lebanon, Egypt, Morocco. And it was so incredible just to hear their stories, like the adversity that they come up against, and the differences of an Arab woman's kind of journey to a Western woman's journey, but then also the similarities. And it was a really powerful panel, and I was really proud that it was kind of under the Little Pink Book umbrella, and all the women were super inspirational. Talks on a lot on the live music industry, on the importing and exporting of brands and talent. So obviously in Dubai, we now have Ushuaia, we have Obeat, we have Terra Solis by Tomorrowland. So importing of the huge brands, so kind of discussing that, but also the importance of also exporting what's happening in the region here and supporting regional talent, regional brands, rather than just kind of imposing like the Western brands here, which is amazing because it's super exciting. But then, you know, on the flip side, what can we be doing to then be giving brands from the Middle East a global platform? So that was kind of a big topic of discussion.
And you've seen that a lot, haven't you? I think a lot of people have said to me in hospitality how lots of stuff were coming into Dubai, but now Dubai is the ones that are creating stuff and sending it out. Yeah. It's a very interesting conversation. There's a lot of kind of switching of that.
And Saudi is doing it incredibly, I think. There's so much incredible homegrown talent in Saudi Arabia. They've really kind of nurtured their culture and their talent. And there's so many like amazing DJs, producers coming out of Saudi. I mean, of all genres actually, rappers, singers. And I think, Saudi's done a really incredible job at nurturing their homegrown talent and growing their kind of local scene.
And the cultural conversation is such an interesting one with women. I was on a podcast of, where was she from? I think she was Bengali, and she was very successful in the property industry. And we were talking about the differences of our lived experience as a woman, how in the nightlife industry, particularly people facing, started the industry as a shop girl, grown a business of temporary staff, mainly who are women, but we're very in the thick of it. So some of our experiences would be highly, you know, for some people disturbing, maybe some of the things that we've had to face. You know, people being very overly tactile, all that sort of stuff. Whereas for her, she was explaining how men won't even shake her hand culturally. Yeah. So it's the almost, they wouldn't even look in her eyes as her as a woman in business who's very successful, but is there to do a business deal, and there is complete ignorance and almost the opposite experience. And it was that massive shock of how, again, we live in this Western bubble. Our conversations are often so culturally informed, aren't they?
It's the presumptions. Like one of my friends is a huge artist manager, and whenever she said she's been called everything like, oh, hey, you're the makeup artist. Hi, are you, you know, I don't even know, the assistant. She says the last thing they think is I'm the manager, and said she's been in rooms where she's at an event that she's totally organised, and they, groupie, are you a groupie? Are you the makeup artist? They're like the first two go to. She's like, no, I'm the manager to my event. And it's like just those, I think that's what people don't understand. Like that's kind of what we face, these just like automatic presumptions. Yeah. Like if you go, oh, I went to the doctor, you'd be like, oh, you would just automatically, a lot of people, even as a woman, you would say him. Oh, are you going to go, you know, when are you going to go see him? And it's like, well, could easily be a woman.
So, like, yeah, maybe I am the kick-ass makeup artist. Like, like, we sometimes put a hierarchy or a status on those roles, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
As if one's, because I know we often joke around about this with the shot girls that we have, shot sellers. Like, some of them are making serious money. Serious money. Yeah. It's their core job, and they've chosen to do that, and they're incredible business people and sellers. They work solely on commission, right? You've got to be amazing at what you do, But they make their living from that. Now, I bet you they are, let's just say like it is, making more than a lot of people that they're serving who are in some level of corporate job with some title or some status. And you'll get this question like, when are you going to get a proper job?
Yeah.
Or when are you going to, you're all right, babe. Yeah, but totally good. Thank you. And it's like these preconceptions, and we kind of have to check ourselves on multiple levels on what meaning we're given to something, right? Yeah. Okay, Beth. Well, is there anything that you want to share with our listeners about what you're doing, what you've got coming up, how they can plug into stuff you've got going on?
So coming up, so I've just started programming Saturday nights at Vinyl with my friend Adam. And it's amazing. So it's all about supporting local communities, local collectives. And we're just kind of stripping back partying to being about music and community. And it was our third one last night. And the vibe is amazing. So if you're in Dubai and you want just like a party where the music's great and the people are great, no frills, but an amazing sound system, really cool venue, come down. We're running it every Saturday. Every Saturday is a different collective. We've got Motion, who's an incredible DJ from Cairo. His party Bus Stop Oasis. A really inspirational lady called Parvane, who's French-Iranian. She's got an incredible party called June Collective. We've got Aztec Faction, who are homegrown parties here on Ibiza. So it's like a real eclectic mix. So if you're looking for a vibe on a Saturday, it's open until 4 a.m. So come on down. And then Little Pink Book this year. I'll be doing Start From Scratch again in April. So it will be here in Dubai. So if you are a woman and thinking you might want to try your hand at DJing, it's free. So that all the information will be on Little Pink Book Instagram. And I'm going to be doing some more women in music networking sessions and panels. So everyone's welcome. So just even if you're not in the industry, but you're interested, like come on down.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for joining me on Sunday morning, especially after your event.
I know.
Hats off to you there.
After.
Amazing.